The question I want to ask is, the uncertainties that the election bring into the economy, besides the fall in oil prices, do we have to stay at this point? How does all of this translate to the life of the Nigerian out there?
Well, I think that, let me first of all talk about this speculative demand for exchange. I think I need to shed some light on that. It becomes speculative when it's not tied to your immediate needs. And so you're going to say, look, I'm going to take this dollar because I think that the price is going to drop. It's going to drop further. And so I'm going to hold on to this foreign exchange. I don't need it now, but I want to take it. So that's when you have speculation. Even the banks are doing it. And so that's why you find the central bank is going on and trying to reduce the open position, the amount of money banks are allowed to have and trade with. At some point in time it was 1%, it was 0.1%, now it's 0.5%. Because the central bank says, the banks use this money to buy foreign exchange, keep it, and say, look, it's going to drop more, and then I'll sell it and make more naira. And so there's no value addition in that process. So I thought I should add this so that it's clear that those who are watching us. Okay. Now, what you said is, besides the politics, the naira and so on, what does it translate? The average Nigerian.
How does it translate?
So essentially, it comes back to what you're saying about the quality of life. I know the quality of life of the average Nigerian. And what's very important is that it feels like having jobs. Having your money and having value for your money. So inflation is very important. Employment opportunities are very important. So issues of insurrection and so on, and the way it would impact on the economy are also important considerations. And so when you talk about the quality of life of the average Nigerian, like I said before, something like the power sector, if you can, for instance, fix the power sector, it will make such a quantum, difference in the quality of life of the average Nigerian. I live at Lekki Phase 1, and for over 4 or 5 days, 6 now, going to a week, we don't have power, so we have to buy this, so we have to buy, some of us have 3 or 4 sources of power supply. All right, so when you take that, factor that in, I find that you cannot do something and say, look, I want to do some work. I write and so on, I read, I'm an intellectual, let me put it that way. I can't say, for instance, I'm going to do this at this point in time, except I have my own independent source and so on and so forth. So when you look at it, and you look at the average, the informal sector in Nigeria is very large. In fact, it's the same as maybe Italy. We have an informal sector that's very large. And most of these informal operators, something like having power. So you go to your tailor, that sews for you, and he says, look, yes, so there's no power, so we couldn't operate. We must have. And some will tell you go to a panel beater, so it tells you, if I'm going to use NEPA, it's going to cost you this. If I have to find generator, it'll cost you this plus. So the cost is different. So what you're saying is that quality of life. Basic things that should, the social sector. This is why we need to make sure that government is focused. Government knows where it wants to get into, because government should provide the environment. This is what is very important, and then allow the private sector, to get into. So we say government has no business in business, but it's unfortunately historically. Aside from a position whereby government wanted to take over the commanding heights of the economy and so on and so forth and drive everything, and so government goes into say something like hotel, and what then do you get from it? You find that the civil servants go and occupy the rooms. Okay, so and don't pay. And they don't pay.
What happened to what is believed to have happened to the Nigerian Airways?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So you find that you have all these cases everywhere. But there are challenges, and so you take something like the budget. Do we ever implement our budget, for instance? You can't run an economy. The budget is the blueprint for running an economy. So when you have your budget has been approved for implementation in April, and so you turn around and say, look, the budget has not been implemented. And look at what's happening in that 2015 budget. Now what's going to happen? Well, everybody's focused on the elections. And of course, let's not underplay it. Elections in this country, 2015 elections is very important.
Since you brought in the elections, Tilawa, you were into this as well. Yes. Let's look at the spending by the politicians, the political parties and all of that. How is that affecting the economy? I mean, the CBN talks about sometimes they inject some monies to mop up excess liquidity, but it looks as if during the elections
it's massive.
Beyond excess liquidity.
My friend Henry Boyle, because I'm talking about central bank, says central bank creates the liquidity in the system. So we get foreign exchange and you put it in the account, and they change it, convert it to naira. And so they do that, and they say allow people to go and buy treasury bills and so on and so forth. So what this is saying is that although we have issues with that, because that's how foreign exchange is managed everywhere in the world. That's not, so central bank takes the foreign exchange, puts it in an account, and monetizes it. And so you talk about this certificates. So what is that? So you push the thing one step down the line. Also give you a certificate in dollars. Then you pay it into your bank account, and you're going to compare this. I took him on this. But what you are saying, in effect, is that what's happening is that money is being spent. And massively, and being injected into the system. And then if you look at this, even what's happening at foreign exchange, most of these monies that have been moved around, they're so massive that they move them in dollars.
Yes.
And so by the time you have this injection into the system, and the basic inflation, the inflation is when you have your goods and services and the money supply, the balance. And so when you have the money supply is overly in excess of available goods and services, that's a classic case of what causes inflation. And so central bank goes in. So when you do not create problem for central bank in terms of trying to mop up. Now, you take the rate of exchange. What's happening there? Why is there speculation on the rate of exchange? There's speculation because people have the money to buy. And so they buy this money. Central bank just hiked the monetary policy rate from 12 to 13%. Fine, okay, there are issues there. That does not align with an economy that wants to grow the real sector and so on and so forth. But part of it is that when you now go and take this money and you tie it up, so I take this money, I buy foreign exchange. That's an opportunity cost tied to this money. That this money at best could be earning 15% elsewhere. Most of our compatriots are not vast. They're not enlightened as to this. So you buy it, some keep it for 3 months, 4 months, and you're looking at the rate at which you're going to exchange it and say, look, I bought this at this and I'm going to exchange it at this rate. So these are some of the issues. So yes, election spending is massive, and then some of them are not accounted for. Some of them we cannot account for. Some of them are just coming in through the state governors are involved in this. They're spending the state resources for the campaign.